first thing, what is Agile? So Agile as a software development is basically an approach which is collaborative effort, and Agile in concept it is self-organizing, and it also involves cross-functional teams. So what does that mean? Basically, everyone in Agile team organize their time, and also that team will have like developers, we have testers, we have the BA. So it's basically cross-functional actually, and also you have the product owner in the team. So, and it advocates advanced planning. So you have different planning sessions that you have to do, and also you would need to release early or deliver early to the client. And because you are going to be delivering early, you would also be having continuous development and improvement, and also you have to be flexible to change actually. So, and this change could happen even right at the end of your development or as early as possible. So you should be flexible to change. And there's manifesto that the Agile is based on. So we'll look at them actually, and there are different types of Agile framework that is used. So by my opinion, this is my opinion, I think the popular one would be Scrum and Kanban. So, and there is also SP and the likes. And the new concept also, which they call Kanban, also, which is basically combining Scrum and Kanban. But this particular training this evening is going to focus on Scrum actually. But before we do that, we need to look into Agile principles. So what exactly are the principles of Agile? One, you have customer satisfaction as early as possible as you are doing your continuous delivery. So which means that you would be listening to the user as early as possible, unlike on the other form of development, which is like Waterfall, where you have to wait to the end of delivery cycle before you can get something to the user. So, but in Agile, you release as early as possible, and also you kind of have changing requirements, and because like I said before, you need to be flexible in Agile. So these changes will be coming, and sometimes it will come very late or even early in development. You need to be adaptable to receive them into your development cycle. So, and also you have to deliver your software frequently, in weeks or months. In some cases, you might have 2 week sprints, and you have to deliver to the clients actually. So, and also one thing that's so very, very important in Agile is communication and cooperations between the business people or stakeholders and developers. So, and this is very, very important. And also, system is built on motivational individuals. Everyone is motivated actually. So like in the first instance I said, also it is self-organizing. So there's no managers in Agile. So because of that, everyone has to be trustworthy to be able to deliver on what they are doing. And there is face-to-face communication, like I said before. There's communication, which is very, very important. And more often, Agile team could be co-located actually. So because they have to do daily stand-up and everything, so which is very, very important. Then another principle of Agile is that you will deliver a working software. It can be so minute, it can be so little, but this is principle. This is one of the ways to measure the progress, that at every particular time you are delivering something that is deliverable, that is usable. So you would be having a working system at every particular time or at the end of the sprint. So that is how to measure the progress of the application. Working system could mean that we've already finished this particular card and we've delivered it. So it might be useful to a tester, to developer, also sort of, but you have something that you can deliver at the end of the sprint. So, and also you deliver at constant pace. Constant pace does not mean that you would, it means that at every particular time within 2 or 3 sprints, which is your iteration, actually, you will have something that you need to develop. So you don't have like 2 months or 3 months or something like that, but you have a constant pace that you would be maintaining your delivery. So then constant or continuous attention to technical excellence. This is very, very good actually. So there is technical depth that you need to look into, and you need to look into how you design your application. Also, you need to look into the technical information. So it's also continuous. You need to review the process every time and to be able to get the best out of Agile. So simplicity, exactly, which is it's very, very important. It's very, very essential to be able to make sure your process is easy for people to understand, the amount of work that you've done, and you don't put a lot of people under pressure. And so it's very, very important. This is one of these principles of Agile. Best architecture, requirement, and design. So we emerge from self-organizing teams. So basically, that particular team will be able to take the requirements, they'll be able to design by their own, they'll be able to design their solution. They should be able to do everything without any interference from any external force or any external team. So basically they got their destiny in their hands to be able to do whatever they want. So, and also the team should be able to adjust accordingly so that they can become efficient and effective. So it's very, very important for them to reflect on what they've done what good they've done, and also to make it better, and also to see that what area can they actually improve. So it's very, very important for them to reflect as a team so that they can improve on what they are doing. So now let's go to Scrum. I said Scrum is another framework of Agile actually. So most of what I've explained at the principle of Agile is also in Scrum. So as you can see, it's cross-functional, it's self-organizing, even, and comprises about seven people, but it's actually 6 plus, but 6 plus 3, I would say. So minimum of 6 people, but most people say maximum of 9 people, to be honest. So, and also it's got a fixed length of iteration. So what does that mean? It's actually got a fixed number of days. So how many days do you want to work in a sprint? So it's called the iteration. So you will have maybe 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, that's a cycle finished, and you have to deliver something, or you finish a task or something. That is very, very important. So in Scrum, to have a fixed iteration, it's it's mandatory. You will need to have a sprint, and the sprint can be 2 weeks, can be 3 weeks, can be 1 month, but not more than 30 days. But the most sprint, the most one that's been used by people that I've seen is 2 week. 2 week sprint is what is so frequent. And so then also you try to release something that is testable actually at every particular sprint. You try as much as possible to make sure you have a product, a testable product that you can actually chip out at every sprint. So let's look at Scrum as an alternative to Waterfall. For people that have used Waterfall before, what you have in Waterfall is you gather your requirements, you do your design, you do your coding, developer finish everything. If there's any integration with any system, they also incorporate that, they do the integration. Then after that, they pass it to tester. So tester will test and then they would deploy. That is if there's no issue. If there's issue, then it goes back also to requirements, to design, to code, integration, and also come back to test also. So, and that's what the waterfall approach is. So at any particular time, if you find any issues, you have to go back again and start all over. So sometimes it could be very, very costly. So, but now in Agile, you take one section of that particular requirement, and then you bring that into iteration, and then you take that particular requirement, and you will do design on, you gather the requirement. After you gather the requirements, and also the first thing you do, also you prioritize what you want to bring in. Then after you prioritize that, you now flesh that particular requirement out to write, to add some details to them. And after you've added those details, you would do the design, you analyze it, then also, then moving on, you would develop that particular requirement, and then you would also test. And this is what you would do then. After testing, if it passes, then you move that to deployment, and on you continue. You take another cycle of the work, and you do that like that, so you, until all the work is finished. So you go that in cycle. So in the first iteration, you can bring 3 or 4 items in, or depending on the capacity that you have as a team, you go through that cycle like that, and then at the end of the sprint, you deliver something to the client. Then the next sprint also, you go through that cycle. That's why it is iterative actually. So, and you go on and on like that, so until you finish the project. So most team will pretend to do Scrum, or they will say they are actually doing Scrum, or maybe they could say they are actually doing Agile, but in essence they are fragile, because one of the issues, like as Agile is, it is a framework. So because it's a framework, people tend to be to use different parts of it actually, and because it's also flexible, so then they bring their own flavor of Agile, but it is not Agile. So some of them does not even follow the principles of Agile and everything. So that's why it's good to know what Agile is, what the practice of Agile, what Agile contains. So this is what we're going to look into this evening in the next few minutes. So now let's look into Agile roles. What are the roles that you have in Agile? I know we've done the project management before this particular section. So, but in Agile, what are the different roles that we have? Like I said, Agile is cross-functional. So in that, you have developers, right? So this is very, very conventional, right? To say every member of Agile team, they call them developers. So in that, you have the traditional developers that we know, which is people that do the coding, and you have the testers or the business analysts, you have the designers, and you have the other likes, actually, the product owner and the likes. So, but everyone, will you classify them as developer? So I'll tell you what are these roles actually that in the development team. So you have the Scrum Master, you have the product owner, and then the rest are basically the Scrum Master. So, and also, like I said, Scrum is self-organizing and self-managing. There's no manager in Scrum. The only person that you have is you have a leadership role. Everyone tends to lead in the team, basically. But you have the Scrum Master, and also you have the product owner. So, but you need to be self-managing. Actually, you don't actually have a maybe a test manager or a project manager or a development manager. That concept is not in Agile actually. So, and Agile has got its own autonomy depending on how that particular team, the Scrum team, has got its own autonomy on how they develop the product, and there's intensive collaboration, as I've mentioned before. And as also I've mentioned before, you have 6 member plus or minus 3. Actually, in most cases, you have 6 plus 3 or something like that, but it's actually 6 plus or minus 3 members. So, and you've seen some Agile teams that are bigger than this, but conventionally, I don't think Agile team should be more than 9, to be honest. So, and that's the product owner. I said product owner is the single person responsible for maximizing the return on investment of the product that you are about to deliver, and also is in charge of the product vision. So basically, if you have any information about the requirements, this is the right person to talk to. And also, this particular resource also constantly reprioritize the product backlog. So basically, it's going to look into that and say, okay, maybe I want this one to be done first. I want this one to be done next. So it's is in charge of putting priority on those requirements. And like I said, also is a go-to person if you have question with the requirement. And in some instances, you can see this particular role can be deputized to BAs. Actually, in some instances, that you might work and you will see the product owner is not actually there, but he has actually delegated that particular role to another person within the team. So it's also very necessary that sometimes that happens. So, and also the product owner also decides whether to release or to continue development or not. So, and it's basically considered the best interest of the stakeholders actually. So, and may contribute as a member of the team. And also, like I said, a member of the team can be delegated or assigned to be a product owner. In most cases, it might be the DA that will be de facto product owner in that particular team. So then the next role that you have in Scrum is the Scrum Master. So the Scrum Master will work to make sure Scrum principles are adhered to and followed. So Scrum Master might involve in having to tutor or train the people on the principle of Agile. So to be sure everyone is on the same page in terms of how Agile works, because when it's bringing people in, they know they have their own flavor of Agile. So it's responsible to make sure that everyone understood the Agile, and also create a conducive environment for self-organization. As we know, this is one of the principles of Agile, for every member of the team to be self-organized and self-managed. And also, the Scrum Master also ensures that the team is shielded from external interference and distractions. So, and by doing that also, he also makes sure that the team are able to deliver and there's no any interference from any external zone actually. So, and there is no management. He has no management role or authority over the team. He is not like, okay, a test manager or development manager or something like that. So his role is going to help to resolve impediments. If you have any challenges, you have something that impedes your ability to be able to deliver your work, he's going to facilitate that and make sure you are able to do what you need to do. And also, he may also facilitate all the meetings that you have to organize and make sure those meetings take place, and also make sure that the right people are in the room. So basically, anything that would impede the team is the right person to talk to. So So now in Agile, let's talk about meetings. Meetings, and they can call it ceremonies. So there are 4 meetings or ceremonies that are so important in Agile. You have the sprint planning meeting, the daily stand-up, the sprint review meetings, and also you have the sprint retrospective meeting. And there's another one at the right-hand side, which is backlog refinement meeting. So, which is not every team will be doing that, or it will be in most instances also, it might be some session or some part, or maybe a few members of the team will be involved in refinements. But so the standard meetings or ceremonies are these ones actually. So the sprint planning, daily stand-up, and sprint review, or maybe some people call it demo, then also retro. So let's look at what these particular meetings are. So the sprint planning is what you do at the beginning of each sprint. So let's say you start your sprint on a Tuesday. So you do a sprint planning. So, and the sprint planning would you involve every member of the team in there, and then in that particular meeting, then the product owner will be responsible, right, for declaring which item is most important based on his own priority that he has set at the in the product backlog. You're going to look at what are the priority of all these particular items in the product backlog. Then also after that, then the developer team will now look at them, and they will now say, oh, these are the things that we can take based on capacity. They will now work based on that. So they will select the amount of work that they can do based on what the looking at the priority that's been set by the product owner. So they pull work from the product backlog into the sprint backlog. So that means you would have 2 backlogs. So one is your product backlog. Your product backlog basically will list all the items that are work items that you need to do for that particular product. So it might be 1,000 or 1 million or whatever, or 10 or 20, depending on the complexity of that particular product. So you have all the product backlogs. So from there, you would select based on the priority that has been set by the product owner. You will pull some of them into your sprints. And you know your sprints have got a limited time. Let's assume your sprint is only 14 days. So you only pull work that can be delivered within that 14 days. So which could be 2 weeks. So you have basically 10 days to work on those items that you put into. And also you would also need to consider that there will be times that you might need to do technical depth. Technical depth is those things that in terms of information, in terms of research, in terms of having to do you are not working on a ticket, but you are working on a ticket that would allow you to facilitate working on some other tickets, basically. So those are technical depth. What you need to do, like a prep, like I need to make sure my environment is safe. I need to make sure some trainings are done. So those technical depth you need to consider those ones also. And also you need to consider that there will be meetings. Also, this is one of those meetings. There will also be other meetings that you will need to attend in the sprints. So you need to consider those ones. So and then in product backlog, as you can see, so what you are seeing at the left hand side could be considered as your product backlog. You have like 9 items in your product backlog. Out of that, you will select some of them in the product backlog. As you can see, 4 of them has been selected. So you move those 4 into the sprint backlog. Then after you move them into the sprint backlog, you will now break them down into different tasks that you need to do. So you can see
User login is the first one, SSL enable is the second one, reset lost password is the next one, then account lockout is the next one. So each of them, you will now break them down, so and you would start working on them. So in some cases, you would now move each one of that ticket into different parts to say, oh, maybe it is now in progress, it is done, and it's ready to release. So you can move them into that. So for those guys that will be doing the internship with us, you have the opportunity to work with DevOps, Azure DevOps, so where you'll be able to go through this process and to move things from product backlog into sprint backlog and the likes. So so then the next meeting that you would have is daily stand-up. In the daily stand-up, you would meet every day at the same place at the same time. So it's very, very important to be consistent, and also in most places also it is very, very likely that that meeting will not last more than 15 minutes, depending on the size of the team. So in some cases, it might not be more than 10 or 5 minutes, actually, because you are not meant to say too much. You are all meant to give reports of what you've done yesterday, what you are going to do today, and if there's any impediments that you face. So those are the things that you would be saying also. I would also mention that if you are fortunate to be in the internship that we are going to be doing, also you will be doing this daily stand-up every day also within your team. And in most cases also, when you're having a daily stand-up, they call it stand-up actually. So it's called daily stand-up or daily scrum. But stand-up because everyone technically will stand up because they want it to be short, so that when you sit down, it maybe takes too long. So everyone will sit down. It has to be sharp, precise, and then off you go. So topics that are not necessary will just be up. You can take that offline, and you can then talk to the team member later. Then you have the sprint review meetings. This is where you would do a demo. It is not a report, actually. It's kind of a demo to showcase what you've done within the sprint. So you might also involve other stakeholders that are outside your team to be able to showcase what you've done to them. So this is very, very important. Before you even release that application, the stakeholders already have seen the application. You can get feedback as early as that particular 2 weeks that you've delivered that particular part of the application. So it's very, very important, this meeting. Then at the end of the sprint also, you will do a retro. You do a retrospective, basically to reflect on the process, to reflect on how you've done, what you've done good, what you've done, what you could improve. And also it's very, very important that this particular meeting is not taken personal or confrontational, and so that some issues that will not lead into blaming or hostility is very, very important. So, and also it's encouraged, everyone should be encouraged to be transparent and also to bring everything on the table so that it's for the good of the team, so that the team can improve on their process. I also mentioned this particular meeting, which is backlog refinement meeting. Like I said, in some cases, not everyone will be present, but in some teams, so every member is present so that they can actually contribute to the refinement. So at the refinement also, because in some cases, when you have those stories or product backlog items, they are too large. You don't understand them. So you bring them into the sprint, you bring them into that meeting, and then you will deliberate, you will discuss about them. Some of them would need to be split or cut down, or some of them you need to put more information on them. So then after that, you would now estimate that particular story. So you estimate them in different ways, actually. So we'll have even option that session later on how to estimate. So there's different people have got different estimation strategies that they use. Some people, you could use like t-shirt size. You look at one story, you say this is medium. You look at one story, you say this is large. You look at one story, you say this is extra large, or you could say this is small. So you can use t-shirt sizes. And also you can use numbers for estimating the work also. Like you can say, like 1, 3. In most cases, they use Fibonacci series, which is like starting from 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, then 13, 21. So you would do that. And also it's all important. In some cases, each member of the team would contribute to the estimate. You have people saying, oh, this particular story is the one for me. Another person can say, no, it is not 1, it is 5 or 7. So it's all important to get their story points so from each member of the team, so that because different people will view things differently. For maybe if a developer is there, it might be maybe 21 for a developer because it is so big. They don't have, it's in terms of complexity. In the team I have worked with, actually, there are 3 metrics that we used at that particular time to do the refinement. I think one was the complexity of that particular story and repetition of that particular story. Then also if there's any unknown in that story. So uncertainty. So we have 3 metrics: uncertainty, complexity, and repetition. So if it's too repetitive, it is not complex, but it's repetitive. So you also consider those ones. Also, in most cases, it might be so complex, you consider, or it's not complex, but we don't even know anything about the story. So there's a lot of unknown. So you consider those 3 metrics. So those are the metrics that we've used before. So in essence, that is that in summary about Agile and the meetings. What is Agile? The meetings that you've involved. So later in this particular session, we have a session where it will be practical, but that might be for the people that would continue towards the internship. So this is where I will stop this evening for any question.